Hey everyone, how you doing today? I thought I would just show you something real new I was working on. I don't know what possessed me to start this particular project. I don't know, had this wacky idea, and I was like, yeah, maybe something like this could work for maybe a combat ship of some origin. But anyway, let me show you what I got so far. Um, this is a well. You could probably guess what sci-fi series this looks close to. So yeah, I'm building some form of Star Trek ship here, and I've been kind of playing with some things and kind of working out some details. I got more to work out. I'm not exactly super happy with this neck area over here yet. I got two different angles going on. I was trying to like give it some width and some stuff like that. But let me explain what I got going on here and why I think maybe it could work as a combat ship decently. To start with, I don't have any thrusters in here yet, but I plan on trying to dump most all of them in the nacelles over here. I've got a lot of room for thrusters, except for like lift thrusters. I kind of wanted to use the big thrusters, and I can put a couple in there like in the forward position, and I could maybe widen this up a block and even get some strafing thrusters and some forward thrusters and things like that in there. But I'm thinking I'm going to have to add in some form of lift thrusters elsewhere, because it's going to be really hard to fit in this area. But maybe, I don't know. I might modify the shape and design of those yet. So on the saucer part of this, I went with more of an arrowhead design rather than a round design, and I did that for a couple reasons. The main reason, however, is that if you try to do too big of a circle in Imperium, like the size I would need for this, you get these very distinct jagged edges there because you don't have blocks in between there to make different angles, to make it more round. So rather than trying to go round, I went with this shape so I could keep like a very big broad area of the same angle, and then the areas that do round off, I could do it in a tighter fashion by a little bit, so it doesn't look so as jagged, I guess you could say. On player function or plan function here, to start with, on the back of this, I did add in a landing pad over here, kind of in between these nacelle arms. And also it's got a little hanger back here. It's not a, I mean, I say little hanger, it's not a real big hanger. It's not, the door is not as wide as I would like it to be. It's not my standard door width size, which could also impact a lot of the SVs and HVs that I do make. I could, I believe, put in a wider door. I just didn't want the door to be the dominant factor on the back there. However, I may do that yet and put in a wider door and then put in like a ramp door or something that kind of closes over it on the outside. Not that it's going to offer much protection or anything, but would kind of conceal that hangar door in the process. And then this area here, um, this I gotta wire this up here, but obviously you see a whole lot of blast doors, and they're coming in from a lot of different angles. Essentially, this whole section will open up, every last area of it. And behind here, I was going to put in a barrage of a bunch of launchers. I had them placed at one point in time, but I removed them when I was doing some other things. Um, so there's basically kind of a lot of room behind there, and I could squeeze in even separated launchers. I could probably fit a good 12 launchers of some origin in this section here. And then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, well, for combat-oriented things, you've got this part here, which is obviously the front part of the ship. So if you're attacking enemy ship from the front, this would probably be your primary area that would get attacked. This area would allow for a lot of turret placements all over it, and you don't necessarily need a first-person cockpit. I could put one in, and I probably will in this area. I got to figure out how to build the top side of this, and of course I want, round and smooth, but the blocks are only going to give you some options. So I'm going to try to figure that out. And then one of the last things I really wanted to figure out on this too, I got to make everything work on the inside and everything like that too. And you know, hopefully a big shield, shield modifiers, things like that on the ship too. Um, but imagine if you had a optional secure cockpit. I don't know, maybe in this area somewhere, or even back further in the ship, in the neck area, or even somewhere else. It would make the most sense if I had it up in this area. But I'm just thinking, if this was coming in to shoot stuff and it had turrets all over the place on the front there, obviously the AI would be probably focused there. You've got this your like big primary weapon, I guess you could say, like embedded in here, plus some other weapons that I was going to try to put in here. Maybe some other launcher positions for removing shields first, and then you hit it maybe with a big artillery section over here. Think of it like I don't know, a photon torpedo or something. Something big and strong to take out the enemies with. And then I should be able to land on the planet. I could definitely put in some landing gear mechanisms down in this section here, and that would allow for mostly. I got to figure this exactly out yet, and again, this could be modified as well. But here, I'll get the lights on too here. That you could land on the planet, load up HV or something in there, and then you've got, of course, the little landing pad for SVs. I wasn't really planning on making like the top of this a landing pad or anything. It's a Star Trek ship, but it's going to be flat enough mostly to probably land some crafts on here. But there's going to be some turrets in here too. And it's going to, yeah, I got to try to get this part right. And for kickers, what I'm trying to do is have a nice kind of a smooth, flat area that kind of goes round a little bit. And my idea would be to if you ever witnessed like well, I'm sure most of you have seen Star Trek ships before, kind of hard to miss. If you know how they typically would say the name, like say you got Enterprise or something like that, and it's rounded and big letters across the top, usually with some exterior lights that kind of like light it up, at least from the movies and whatnot. Looks really cool, nice effect to this type of ship. One of their kind of design cues, I guess you could say. I think I could actually pull that off with LCDs. For instance, you can do a rotate command when you're doing an LCD. Like right now, if I just try to, I can't just like slap in like 3 different LCDs and pitch them at like a 45-degree angle, anything like that. I'd have to have like one LCD, maybe have 2 letters, each rotated slightly different, and then another LCD, have a couple more letters, another LCD, a couple more letters, and so on, and have maybe 4 to 5 LCDs wrap around a big word that could be kind of roundish in how the letters are laid out across the front, and then maybe put in a couple lights here to to kind of beam across that area a little bit. That'd be kind of neat. But anyway, I'm not exactly sure why I decided to try this project now. I guess it's because I've wanted to. On some big sci-fi franchises, I mean, I've tried to give Star Wars some kudos, and I did the same thing for The Expanse. But I have never ever made anything for this particular sci-fi genre, and I kind of wanted to. So one other thing I did to myself when I built this isn't a replica. I didn't look at any pictures recently of any Star Trek ships, and there's a ton of them, and there's a ton of variants, a lot of really cool ones. But I wanted to go off from memory, like what are the basic things that make a Star Trek ship, and it's usually you got a saucer, neck, your main body, extension arms, nacelles, and that is pretty much the overall thing of a Star Trek ship. So if you break this down into parts, you've got, 1 part, 2 part, 3 part, 4 part, and kind of 5 part, and these are obviously copied on both sides. So it's Overall, I mean, the general shape of a typical Star Trek ship is something like this. Obviously, there's a lot of variants. Like I happen to like from some of the older movies, the Reliant I thought was a really cool looking Star Trek ship, and there's a lot of other ones too. In this particular design here, with this arrowhead shape more or less, and I got to tweak it out yet. I'm not even sure. I scaled it up like 3 times already because by the time I got done with this body and everything, what I did have here originally was too small, so I had to make it bigger, and then I made it bigger again, and I'm not sure. I'm kind of like looking at the ship from a lot of different angles. Not sure about how I'm cutting it off over here in the corners. I wanted to get some kinds of things over here, and honestly, these could be some additional, if I build it right, some additional forward thrusters I could probably squeeze in this area. My biggest problem is trying to figure out how to do the lift thrusters and have them, not visible really, or very just not very visible. But obviously I've got options where I don't really want to because I want to kind of keep this space freed up, and this area here will be holding a lot of launchers, so it'd be really I don't really want to put lift thrusters there, and this area is the hangar, so that's going to be a pain in the butt. Which going to try to put some lift thrusters, and when I put them in, I mean the ship is big enough where I'd probably want to run the Excel or the biggest CV thrusters on here if possible. But it's not, if you think how big they are though, they're 6 blocks deep. They're 3 by 3 by 6. These nacelles currently are 5 blocks wide. So even if I had some strafing thrusters like sticking out the side over here, it's a little rough. It kind of makes me think I'm going to have to, at least in some places, make these nacelles a little bit bigger. I mean, obviously it would be completely awesome if I could just cram all the thrusters in here and even try to keep like a separation block between each thruster, so you don't get chain reactions and things like that if they get hit. If you lose one nacelle on one side, you still got another one that your ship can move around on. I didn't really want to gaudy it up with bazillions of EGS turrets everywhere, so it's potentially possible that a lot of these turrets could be retractable, and I'm not sure how many I'd actually want to put on here, but enough to be, within the limits of weapon limits for Reforged Eden and things like that. So I didn't want to go like overboard, make this an illegal build. It's not a terribly big ship. Now, one other thing that I thought about, but I don't, it could be done, but it's kind of like what I played with it with the Supremacy as well when I was building that, and that is like a detachable front end. Like this whole front section here, I could design this in a way, and I know it would work. I've done enough of these like module docking things and other things to know that you can kind of pull this off not too bad. Where like this might be, say, the big combat ship here, and of course I wouldn't have those launchers in that other section then. And this is detachable, so you can come in and it can you might have like a reverse cockpit on it, so you could like land it in this certain area and have the markers like the Helios modules and things like that. And then this kind of sits on a pedestal here connected to this neck, and the neck's probably going to change shape a little bit too. Still working out the details there, but and then you could take this part of the ship and you could fly around and do your combat business and other things, and then come back and dock to this rear section. The problem is, what real benefit would you get from that? Because this rear section isn't like a big module holder. I mean, of course, I'd love to add like huge like module bays and things like that, but at least the modules that I make are far too big to put on something this size. It's just they're big modules. They're like the size of a good decent sized starter CV at least, and the bays would have to be so big that it would totally distort the appearance of the entire ship. So yeah. Anyway, I wanted to try this. Some kind of Star Trek design, and this is more or less a traditional old school Star Trek design too. It's not like they got a lot of newer stuff, but this is a little more, at least from memory, going around like some of the more earlier Enterprise ships, and not before they were, you know, before there were so many other different models and things like that, and they kind of modernized them. Um, so I was just curious on your thoughts on that. And beyond that, I've been playing a lot of a decent amount of Imperium when I get the time here. I've been recording video for Imperium on my playthrough on Season 4 on the Anvil server for a while, and I got probably about 8 to 10 hours of recordings on my hard drive right now. And my plan, what I wanted to do with all that stuff, is to go through and edit it and make like a short video of the highlights at some point here. I just haven't got around to doing that yet. Doesn't sound like a huge fun thing to do, but I'm hoping once I get started on it someday, when I get some time, that I will start to enjoy that, because it'd be nice if I would get into editing and stuff like that. It's just everything takes time. Everything takes time, and of course, you know me. I like to build stuff here and there, kind of randomly, like this. I wasn't expecting to randomly build a Star Trek ship now, but it happened, and I'm mostly liking it. I think it needs a little tweaks and a little modifications. Trying to get some of the proportions right here, and trying to figure out maybe yeah, I got kind of something weird going on with the neck. I kind of wanted it like in between two different angles, if you know what I mean. Like I didn't really want it necessarily at a straight 45, and I also tried to do it at a straight 22.5 all the way down, and I didn't like the results of either. So then I tried this hybrid version, which is kind of like doing a 45 here and a 22.5 here, but then kind of coming back in here into another 45. So I was just trying to get proportions right. The windows aren't quite right either, where they're positioned right now at the angle, but I don't even know if those windows would stay there. That's kind of, I'd have to figure out how the interior would be really before I slapped in a bunch of windows. But I did want to get some windows, and I was trying to go with this kind of like roundish design to be a little bit more like the Star Trek ships, or some of them at least. So yeah, I don't know what your thoughts or feelings are on this. Hull material right now is hardened steel. Again, I don't know if that's going to stay that way or not. This area of the ship over here, especially after I get the top section on here, would probably be the bulk of the livable area, beyond a hangar. The rest of the ship wouldn't have a lot of space in it, pretty much a hangar, and it would need some kind of walk path that goes down this way. Probably in this case, I don't know. Maybe I'll do an elevator. Maybe I'll do a staircase. I don't know yet. Yeah, probably, or maybe a combination of both. I don't exactly know the right way to do that yet. But this is where I'm at. I'm just curious if there's any Star Trek fans out there and what they think. Now, another engineering problem I've really had too is these arms over here going out to the nacelles. My goal, and when I kind of did like a wireframe block map of some of these areas when I was building it, is I had these angled out. First, I want them angled out this direction, but I also want it angled out in this here. Let me get the HUD on, so you can see the cursor here. I also wanted them angled out in this direction. Problem is, I could not find a block solution to do that, especially trying to maintain other angles and keep it relatively thin. Could not find a solution for that at all. I tried a bunch of different combinations of wedge blocks and even other blocks. Even got into here. Let me get a block out. Show you what I tried. And maybe someone else knows a solution to this, because I just have not been able to find it. I tried using these, like this one, in conjunction with this one. So you kind of run these on one corner, and then you flip it around and run it on the other side to make kind of a wedge angle kind of thing. And that didn't work out either. And then I tried, of course, a bunch. I've tried 45 wedge blocks and their counterpart, the big one. I also tried 22.5 sets like this, or the other 22.5 set like these guys over here. And nothing. Basically, I could do like one angle, but then when I wanted to reverse that angle on the other side and keep it all smooth and thin, there was no block solutions at all. It's like I can kind of picture some blocks that would make this possible, but they would be kind of funky looking blocks for sure too. Very very specific block function if they were in the game. But anyway, so I just kept them straight. It was the only way I could really keep it decent looking and smooth, and that's a big factor I wanted to make sure I did on this thing, is try to keep everything as smooth as I could. I didn't want any like jittery block action. There was another way too, where if these were built up at an angle like that, I could have it so it looks like there's little layers, like one after another, but you see like the block, like sides and chunks of blocks in between each of those, and then that didn't look good at all. It kind of killed the look of the whole thing, because the rest of it I'm trying to keep smooth, so it's harder to tell that it's made of voxel blocks. And then that section was just like, oh, this is total Minecraft. It's like, no, I can't do that. So that's where I'm at with this. Just kind of a fun side project. I plan on hopping on the Anvil server some more today and getting going some more. And I will try to get a video out here sometime. I just got to sit down and do some editing, go through those videos. I think there should be some pretty cool highlight moments, especially one of my death loops and getting saved by a couple other players a couple times. But things are going pretty good in the game right now. At this point in time, I have a Janus, I have an Airborne. It's got some real crap thrusters on it right now. I got like a mix of the 1x1 and the 1x2 thrusters around it. It's not very fast. Beyond that, it has an advanced constructor added. It has a standard warp drive and one of them little shields. I didn't have the resources to build a full-size shield yet, so I've got one of those small Reforged Eden only shields in there. Got ammo. I put on I think I got 6 turrets. I put on I think 8 large solar panels on it as well. Big problem that I found, and why I'm so like not into farming in the game, or haven't been, but I always need food, so I'm always trying to like go hunt and stuff for food. The big problem is when I'm not playing, I don't want to leave my ship on, like in this case, like the Janus, because then when I come back, it'll be completely drained of all fuel, and all my food will be dead anyway. So if I stock up on any food and put it in the fridge, I can't keep it going. So I lose it all every single time. And unless I can make something that's not perishable, but I haven't got around to that yet either. So, my plan is to try to stick enough solar panels on the thing so I can leave it somewhere and power down like almost everything on it, the constructors and anything else that uses power except for the fridge, so I can maintain food when I'm not online playing. And that I find to be like a big problem. I think it's why I haven't put much weight into food in this game in the past, even though I don't mind farming in like games that allow you to do that. I don't really like picking the crops in this game. It's really slow and kind of tedious, but there's new stuff for that too in Reforged Eden with those hydroponic bays, which are way easier to collect the resources in. However, I'm unable to build that kind of bay, those kind of farms at the moment. But things are moving along. I'm also like level 22 or something like that. I'm close. I could finish up the leveling really fast here. I have a Merc MX1 that I brought in. I wasn't planning on it, but I have I started out with the Scarab STC, or the little really cheap tree cutter. And then after a bit, I came across a little bit of titanium and was able to build the Scarab TCM, which I have now, and that's the miner / tree cutter. And then I have an MX1 that as soon as I spawned it in, I wasn't even sure if it was going to work in Reforged Eden, and it did actually. It didn't have any power problems, and it was nearly 1,000 available extra CPU without adding any CPU blocks to it, and it didn't have any to start with. So I was able to add more thrust to it, and I did that. So I basically doubled the forward thrust and the lift thrust on the ship. It's only got 4K storage, 1K ammo storage, and a couple cargo boxes, but it was cool enough for me to fly over to the moon, and with a hand mining, I was able to get some cobalt and some magnesium, and I found a POI and found few more things to bring back. But now I'm actually off the starter planet. I'm still in the starter system. I do have a warp drive. I do have Pentaxid. I do have everything I need to push forward at this point in time, and that's kind of where I left off at. I need to hunt down a lot more resources and try to figure out what my next thing I want to bring in is, which I'm not sure yet. I guess maybe I shouldn't think about that too much and just try to really get the Janus built up as best I can, and use that for a little bit. It's not a combat ship, obviously. I will want a combat ship here at some point, and maybe something that can also do combat on the ground one way or another. So I'll be thinking about that stuff. But I just wanted to show you this, let you know I'm still around and doing things. It's tomorrow I'm going to be gone all day long, so I won't have a chance to play the game, work on this, or do anything else. But after that, Thursday I should be back, and hopefully I'll be able to do some things. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that. If you got any thoughts, opinions, ideas, if you see this and come up with some kind of idea, I love to hear them. I mean, some of them are really good ideas, and a lot of them I'll listen to and try to implement. If I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. That would make a lot of sense. And I'm also curious what your thoughts are on if the saucer could split up from the main unit. If this main unit could do more things, if it could hold module bays and storage and all that other fun stuff, and then you keep this purely a combat vessel on the front. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible idea. It's just, why have all this? Because it's really not I guess I don't know if the separation would be anything more than a gimmick. Basically, it's neat. I've seen a particular Star Trek ship in a movie do it. So it's not even out of the sci-fi realm of what one of these ships could do, but it's just, I don't know, just because you can doesn't mean you should, you know what I mean? So it's it's kind of like the same impact that I had on trying to do a detachable nose on the Supremacy. It's yeah, you could do it, but what's the point, So anyway, that's all I've got for today. Just wanted to get a video out there, show you what was going on, and show you that I'm still doing my my buildy thing. And yeah, I also have to get back to that Creel space station POI too. I've been kind of putting that off a little bit. I built some miners and some things I wanted for season 4. This potentially, if I can make it where I feel confident enough that this could be a good, usable, workable ship somehow in game, despite the Star Trek shape, maybe I could try to get this in later on. But I got to make sure that it does something that I would want it to do for gameplay, besides look like a Star Trek ship. So that's how it rolls. Anyway, y'all have yourself a great day, and I will try to jump on the server here in a little bit too and progress a little bit more. I'll keep on recording my game time most of the time, and try to get a compilation video out here sometime soon. It might be over the weekend or early next week. Maybe this weekend I'll get some time to go through and try to edit and put together maybe 10-15 minutes of the best moments and things like that. I didn't want to just put out hey guys, here's a 2-hour YouTube video of me just mining and shooting a couple of spiders now and then or dying. All right. Well, anyway, y'all have yourself a great day. I'll talk to you later.